Hey, what's up everybody? BDR44 coming at you with another video. Alright, so on my way home from the observatory, got a Laker game coming up between the Lakers and the Mavericks. Of course, I encourage everybody to check out my Laker video that I made before I left the house. And yeah, man, my mindset is basically to talk about the banner. Although I might have mentioned it in the pregame video, I don't have a problem with the banner, because at the end of the day, it's going to be a banner that they put up for the in-season tournament championship that likely will have it so that you add every year you win the championship to that same banner. And they'll put it somewhere on the side, probably nearest where they put the Minneapolis Lakers banner, where they celebrate the Minneapolis Lakers. That's probably where it's going to be. And so for me, I'm looking at that and I'm saying that's okay, that's acceptable, so long as they're not trying to duplicate Laker banners and try to say, oh, this is a Laker championship. No, it's not. No, it's not. What it is an in-season tournament championship, and what they're likely trying to do is get us to legitimize it so that the rest of the league will follow suit. Because if we don't put that championship banner up, it probably takes away from whether or not people feel like they're legitimate for winning it in the future and putting a banner up. And so I think it was probably part of the agreement when they decided to put this thing in, that all teams would be willing to put up a banner like this at the very least. Now, if a team like the Pacers, who've never won, put up a real championship-like banner, I'm pretty sure they would appreciate that too. But for a team like the Lakers, you run the risk of alienating your fan base when we have a certain strict way of standards to where we don't let anything just go up. We don't put up banners for conference championships. We don't put up players that haven't reached a certain level of prestige, no matter how much they've done for us. And that's a standard that we want to uphold here. And once you start changing that, start putting fans in a position to believe that, yo, we ain't upholding the standard anymore, it doesn't quite hold the same luster for some of the fans who believe this is like a club that you got to join and got to be elite within. You know, it's like a certain culture that comes about. You start betraying that culture and you start losing certain people, and you just kind of take away from the overall prestige of your organization. So the NBA is walking a thin line, but I think they have it the right way. So long as they put up a different type of banner, put it in a different place, signify that we're going to add to it with the intentions of keeping this thing going. Fans can start dreaming about having multiple years up for championships in the East Season tournament. That's how we can look at it. We want to fill up that sheet, fill up that banner, so that we can get all the people who want to win championships each and every year in a position to also feel great about competing for an in-season championship every year. So that's really what it's about. As I told you guys, I think LeBron and AD wanted it. I have no doubt that we fought hard for that championship. And the type of basketball that they played was worthy of it. I think it was a raging success when you consider they're trying to legitimize December basketball and overall bring forth a certain intensity to basketball that we only see in June and in May. And to be honest with you, I think they did a fantastic job of that. When you consider that how hard these teams were playing, particularly my team and the Pacers, the teams that got to the finals, they took it seriously. They wanted it bad. I think the $500,000 is a good amount. Putting consolation prize amounts up there for others who run up second place and in the knockout round, I think is a very good idea. And I think if they want to increase that as the revenue becomes more plentiful for that tournament, I think it would be a great incentive for guys to play just as hard, if not even harder, for more amounts of money. And I really do like the idea of some of our younger guys who haven't quite become millionaires yet getting that tournament money and then find themselves in position to call themselves millionaires before taxes, if you're in California. But not everybody has those problems. Hopefully we won't for much longer. But nevertheless, it's a hell of a thing, you know what I mean? I really like the idea of just competitive basketball in December and late November, because it leads us right into Christmas Day. Now we got Christmas Day games coming up in 2 weeks after the tournament. not too much time before something exciting comes back around. And you have January, and then you look up mid-February, you know, you got the All-Star break coming up. And then you look up 2 more months rather, and you're in the playoffs. So just got to be able to get through January, and we got to get through March with whatever non-super competitive basketball that will come with the regular season. And once you look up and realize how they've broken the season into sections, you realize you have way more competitive basketball. You likely have more teams playing at a higher level. You actually likely have more incentive for more player movement. When you consider teams losing in the tournament, probably want to tweak themselves because they know they weren't as competitive as they probably want to be come playoff time. You see guys raise their elevation of their value when you consider guys make names for themselves in the tournament and become worth even more than what they otherwise would have in a situation like that. Look at a guy who like Cam Reddish and see what his value now is. I don't know that it becomes that when you consider him to play in the tournament, what was on the line for him to prove and how he was able to prove it by playing well. These are the type of things that you don't even consider. Now when it's time to make a trade, he's probably worth an extra second round pick than what he otherwise would have been if it was just regular basketball, because now we've seen him in competitive basketball and people are going to want him. Now obviously my team ain't going to trade him, but that ain't the point. The point is, these are the type of things, sub things that happen on the side from having competitive basketball being played sooner. And so that's really what it's about, a knockout situation. Guys get to prove to themselves who they are, prove to their teams that they're more or less capable of winning big games. Game 7 situations, you get more experience for players who otherwise wouldn't have that type of experience. Now we got a guy like Max Christie who's barely getting started. Halfway through the season has already felt what it feels like to be in a knockout situation 3 times over. I mean, that's valuable experience that's going to make him an even better playoff competitor when it's time. You know, so these are the type of things that the NBA put in place with this play-in tournament that is just going to work in its own favor. And I think we will see it trickle down to these areas that I'm saying it will, if not in this particular season, in future seasons. So, you know, and then you get a better understanding that you don't have to make movement too, just the same. Certain guys you can look up and you say, yo, this guy's played well. Maybe we were considering shopping him. Now we see how he looks in the tournament situation. I ain't got to move this dude. It's probably not in my best interest to make this move, you know? And so I just think it overall helps with player value. I really do. Helps with experience, player value. You know, the idea of your season being ultimately more competitive. The idea of your season ultimately being more fruitful for certain teams who have now desires to win multiple championships in one season. A Lakers team right now who's dreaming of winning the big one and this one and getting the whole trifecta. A guy like LeBron James wants to be Finals MVP and League MVP and All-Star Game MVP, having already won the MVP of the NLI NLS, I don't know what the hell, but in-season tournament, IST. That's what I'm trying to say. So that's gonna take some getting used to for your boy, but nevertheless, you know, you can consider the fact that there's so much to win now, so much hardware a guy can get. You know, all NBA team, all in-season tournament team, all defensive team. Like, it's so much more that we've added to what the guys can shoot for, aim for, and dream about as they're coming into the league. You know, players are like, yo, I'm gonna try to get that too. And so, now one thing I don't know if I love too much, although I think he's more than deserving, is LeBron James being the in-season tournament MVP name, like they name it after him. I just don't think that's big enough of a feat to give a guy like LeBron James just because he was the first one to get it. I don't feel that's enough. As far as, is that a big enough award to give a guy like LeBron James, who could be arguably the best player ever, and you got this new tournament, and you're gonna name the MVP trophy of that tournament after him, and what? That's it? You ain't gonna give him nothing else? Like, nah, he should be getting something much more prestigious attached to his name based on what he's done for this league. So to me, it just seems like, yeah, that would be great to name it after him, but if you're not gonna name nothing else after him, you're not doing him enough justice. That's basically what I'm saying. You name that after him, you name the real MVP trophy after him, like that kind of, like, he needs more. He needs more. Because some of the guys who have bigger stuff attached to their name are not historically greater players than him. So he's the first to get it. It's hella honorable. You try to get in here before they close this thing on me. I like that for him, but I like something even greater for him because he's greater than that. So that's my only objection. If they name that MVP after him, it won't do nothing else for the man in regards to naming stuff after him. And I just think, nah, what if the tournament fizzles out in 10 years? Not enough. You gotta name something else after Bron, something bigger. So that's my opinion about that. But otherwise, I think it's a good idea to name it after him. He's the first one to get it. Our team was the first one to win it. He had a great deal to do with that. I would love for them to acknowledge the player of the game too. When you consider it's a one and done situation, a lot of times finals MVP is not about the whole playoffs, but it's about the finals. So when you consider it's a one and done game, and you look at what Anthony Davis did in that final game, it's like, well, he was actually finals MVP because the only finals you actually had was him. Basically, closing out that game with spectacular fashion. So for me, I'm not really sure that's enough for Anthony Davis. So I'd like for them to kind of reimagine that a little bit. Maybe have MVP and then championship game MVP or something. And if that's two different people, great, that kind of thing. So that's what I have to say about that. Looking forward to this game coming up in about an hour and a half. I'm going to get started on everything I got to do to make sure I'm ready for that game. And of course, I have something for you at the half and at the end of that basketball game. So, BDL 44, thank y'all for watching.